Good evening. My name is Robert Stone, the chair of the Underhill Selectboard. I'm going to call this regular scheduled select board meeting to order. Today is the 24th of April. It is a Thursday. It is 6 o'clock. We have an agenda that has been prepared in advance. Are there any adjustments to that agenda that anyone would like to request?
I have none.
Same for me.
Okay. If there are no changes, then we'll go with the agenda that's been submitted. So we'll go right to opening public comment. We have a couple of folks here at the town hall, and I think I don't see anyone in the virtual environment. So anyone have any public comment? Okay. Moving right along. The next on the agenda is the Underhill Town Cemetery, Sandhill, consider a grant application to discuss further action based upon the April 14th site visit. Kurt and Susan Belton are here tonight. If you guys want to come up.
Yeah, I'll just have you sign in too, please.
Okay, yep.
So I think before we get started, I think we should just go on the record and say that on the 14th of April, the entire select board met up at the cemetery on Sandhill Road. I'm not sure if we call it Sandhill Cemetery or if we call that
Underhill Town Cemetery.
The Underhill Town Cemetery. That's what we'll
Okay.
refer to
I'm
it
glad
as.
to know that.
Well, that's what it's been referred to historically.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
said Sandhill Cemetery, but Sandhill wasn't there when,
Okay,
it wasn't called Sandhill. Underhill Town Cemetery.
so we'll
Alright.
change it to that.
I think that's the appropriate name.
Underhill Town Cemetery.
Yeah.
So we met there. Whatever we're gonna call it. We were there and we spent, I don't know, half hour, 45, an hour?
It was a whole hour.
An entire hour there. So it was very interesting. I got a lot out of being there and seeing the lay of the land, so to speak. So I think you're up.
Okay.
Okay, I believe you all have a copy of the grant application. Is that true?
I think that it was in the
Yes, okay.
packet.
Okay, great. So the grant allows for a $1,500 commitment, $500 from the town and $1,000 from the Vermont Old Cemeteries Association. There's certain expenses that qualify. Stone repair and maintenance, stone repair is included and tree removal are included. Such things as fence or maintenance, mowing, that kind of stuff is not included. So certainly with the potential removal of any trees, we would exceed the $1,000 very easily. So we'd like to be able to submit the application as soon as reasonably possible. There are times that they run out of funds, which would mean we'd have to wait till the next year. But it's really on your schedule when we submit the application. We need to have the quotes for the work, the professional work that's being done to submit, plus pictures. I have the pictures. I believe you're working on getting quotes or potentially getting quotes for whatever you decide about the trees.
Okay.
So that's, did I miss anything? That's the
Nope.
sum of it, yeah. They will be on hand for the work session, as you know, in August. And it would be wonderful to have the result of the approval, if you will, at that time, which means submitting the application prior to that. The person who's coming, Diane Leary, is the person who will approve the grant. And we've been in conversation with her for several months now. She's very enthusiastic about our project, and she's looking forward to working with us on it.
And not just August 9th. She actually agreed.
Yeah, she personally wants to come to all 3 work sessions. But the Vermont Old Cemetery Association will have a number of people there on that August date for sure. Our obligation is to have 12 volunteers there, ready and able to go. The time schedule will be very precise. We've got to be ready to go at whatever.
At 8 AM,
8
which
a.m.
means 7:38
Yeah, yeah.
is late.
Yeah. But that's, that's separate and apart from the grant application. We're committed to trying to find the volunteers and to get that work done. The cost, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, we have 11 committed volunteers
Yeah.
for August 9th.
For August 9th,
Right.
yeah, and of course, the more the better. The actual cost of doing the stone repair is nominal, I believe. You also got that little budget sheet that we did. It's just $200 or $300 for the materials, for that day.
Right.
For the stone repair.
Right.
Yep.
And they're gonna not only repair some stones, but teach us.
How to do it.
That's why the volunteers
Yeah.
are asked to be there.
Yeah, the point is to have some people within our town that can do the work going forward, if future need is there for more stone repair. I really don't have a sense of whether or not we can conceivably get all the stones repaired in one day. It's 4 hours, Kurt? Is it
4 hours, 8 to
4?
noon.
Yeah, 8 to noon.
Um,
But we'll see,
I just had a quick question about that. So I see in the form here for the application, it says number of stones to be repaired, reset,
yeah,
or other, and you say 100. So
plus or minus.
you think there's 100 stones that need
To
to
be
be
reset,
repaired?
yes,
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
And I could be wrong. I really did not have a good sense of the survey or what would be considered bad enough to repair.
Right,
I
right.
just don't have that expertise.
Okay.
So it's really, and that's one of the reasons why we're really happy Diane's coming early, because she'll give us a sense of what it's gonna take to get it done. And I can easily qualify that when we submit the form that we really don't have a sense, but we'll send the pictures. She'll see the pictures.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sophia Barnes and Matt Morissette, members of our interested group, have done a survey of the stones a week ago.
Oh, yeah, more recent, yeah.
Or maybe just last Sunday.
Yeah,
And they haven't gotten back to us yet
yeah.
as to the results.
Very good. So in the essence of moving things along, I'm gonna move that we submit this application and commit funds to that. So it would be $500
500 from the town.
from the town and potentially 1,000 from the other folks.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm gonna move that that the town start going in that direction, approve that application. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. One other comment I want to make, just to be clear, it's a reimbursed $1,000. So we have to expend the funds and then we get reimbursed.
I see.
Okay, just,
That's typical with a lot of our
yeah,
grants.
okay, yeah.
But we won't get anything
If we
if we
don't
don't,
submit.
if we don't
submit.
try, right?
That's exactly right.
We gotta get some fishing line and some bait on that pole so we can try to get a fish.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, is there any discussion?
Do you have a date that we'd have to spend the funds by? Is it a year?
We get a year, and
Okay.
she, again, she is very friendly to our project.
Okay.
She insinuated that if we didn't spend it all, that potentially there could be an extension.
Dan?
My impression is that learning how to repair the stones is a part of the whole thing.
Yes,
And whatever stones are not repaired on that 4 hours, there will be some knowledge
correct,
to carry on.
correct.
And that will be a good thing.
Yeah, and even future damage, we've had some terrible windstorms and there's lots of trees. I have no
Falling trees.
sense at all about how much we can really get done in that regard. So, it's just really good knowledge to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of committing $500 up to $1,500 actually, and going forward with this grant application, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And I have one other business item, and I've already made the
I've been
circuit in town hall. Yeah. This is an official invitation to participate,
Excellent.
and we're asking for an RSVP.
We
Russ,
just,
do you
we
want-
just need, for the August date, we
You
just
do
need to
that?
have a roster of
I
names.
think.
Can you add my name to
Make sure he
the,
gets
Yes.
this.
and suggest that you shoot for more than
Oh,
12
okay,
in
all
case there's any
Yes.
conflicts.
Yes.
So, but for now, definitely
Thank
add
you,
my,
yes.
I just put it on my calendar.
Okay, wonderful.
Maureen, I have one for you, an official invitation. And
Thank you
also
very
for-
much. I'll pick it up when
Yep.
I'm next in town.
Okay.
There's my,
And for Shara?
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
you want my
So
email?
who should I leave that?
Oh, yeah.
Just,
Is
leave
it in
them
the,
with me.
Oh, yeah, it's probably best
Or
to
actually,
use
if
my
you want,
personal.
it's in that box on the lower left, that little mailbox there. Right there would be great. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
so in order to submit, I do need to have the proper documentation for whatever we're gonna use the money for. And that's, entirely your call.
You mean specifically?
Yeah, and I'm thinking in particular about the tree removal. We need a quote.
Okay.
Or whatever the competitive quotes are that you get.
Okay, so who do we want to, act as a liaison with this Underhill, folks?
Well, I was gonna-
Are you gonna,
I was gonna
Take
meet
that on?
with Don Toby,
okay,
right, and go over the trees. And then we can, I'll see what Don's recommendation is, and then, of course, we need access to the, whether they can be taken down by hand or they need to be climbed, probably not gonna get a bucket truck in there, but
Mhm.
there are people that still climb, so.
They do have booms, if you can get permission from Denny to
Yeah.
get close to that back gate,
Right,
they can get a boom on.
most of these tree removal companies have big bucket trucks.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna bring one of those in there, but if they could rent a small, all-terrain lift, maybe that might work. But, I'll look it over with Don and we'll try to come up with a RFP and
we
then
need a tree
we'll
sheet.
get prices.
Okay. Meanwhile, we'll communicate with Diane that you've approved this application, so she'll know that we've got that commitment.
Is there a drop dead deadline to submit?
She didn't give us one.
She didn't give us one, but she
Or
also
choice of
cautioned
words.
us that the money might run out.
Okay, so we'll get,
I can get a sense from her about whether or not that's gonna happen. I don't know how many applications are out there. But like I said, she's very excited about our program, our project.
Right.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Is she local? Is she in the
She's
Chester
Ferris.
County area or?
Ferrisburg.
Oh, close enough.
Her grandfather is the founder of the Vermont Old Cemetery Association.
Okay,
And the family originates in Connecticut, but they've been in Vermont for 3 generations.
that's great.
They have a great newsletter
Good,
that they put out. Yeah.
super.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for stopping in and then,
Our pleasure.
stay in touch.
Yes.
Okay,
We will.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Thank
be
you.
in touch.
Bye, Maureen.
Hi, Maureen.
All right, the next item on the agenda is appointments to the Chittenden Solid Waste District Board of Commissioners. Consider appointing Greg Leach to the Development Review Board. So I thought, and I apologize to Brad, I thought that we had done this at a previous meeting, that we appointed Paul and Dan to the Chittenden Solid Waste District, but apparently we did not.
I don't see any evidence of that, and actually, the reason I know that is because when I was going through some emails, looking for Paul's email in regards to the tire roundup, and we did incidentally, we received approval from CSWD to use our community funds for the
Oh,
tires.
excellent. Great.
So, but in doing that, I noticed there was an old email that talked about appointments. So, I may have responded to that email, or I think I did a new email to you, Dan, and to Paul,
Yeah.
and I asked Paul if he wanted to be reappointed, and he told me he would. That was after, the select board agenda was already posted, so I don't remember doing it. So, but, I don't think there's any harm in
Well, I'm
redoing
gonna,
it.
I'm gonna move that we reappoint Paul and Dan as the alternate to the Chittenden Solid Waste District Board of Commissioners representing the town of Underhill.
I'll
Is
second
there a second?
that.
And I'll just say that it's a 2-year appointment. So,
2-year appointment,
2 year.
not 1.
2.
That's right. Any other discussion?
Was Greg Leach.
It's next.
This
Oh,
is
that's
what-
next.
This will be the 33rd year that I've been on.
Oh, that's great.
I'd like to thank Dan for his service on the Board of Commissioners for CSWD since he's been doing this now for over 20 years,
Yeah, that's amazing.
which I think should be a
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
Paul is, you're the longest serving, is that correct, Dan?
Right.
Yeah,
And Paul came on when Mike Weisel left
yeah.
the board. So
We did have that whole discussion.
We had that
but
discussion
We
at
had
the
that.
last
I just
meeting.
forgot to make the next.
Right.
So we have some, we have some
We know
history.
trash.
That's right. We
Yeah.
talk a lot of
I was
trash.
gonna say, trash talk.
Yeah.
Trash doctor.
Any other discussion about the appointment? 2-year?
Not 1, 2.
No? That's right. Okay, hearing none, ready for the question?
Yes.
All those in favor of appointing Paul and Dan to the CSWD, please signify by saying aye.
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 Dan Steinbauer abstain.
Okay, so Bob Stone, yes.
Patty Richards, yes.
Maureen Collins Kolb, yes.
Motion carries 3-0 to 1. Because Dan abstained, we had to do a roll call. So the next item is Greg Leach. Apparently have a vacancy on the DRB.
Correct.
I know Dan, or excuse me, I know Dan and I know Greg. I know a lot of people. I think Greg is extremely knowledgeable, and I think he'd be a great asset to the town of Underhill and helping us out in that regard. So I would move that we would appoint Greg to the Development Review Board. I'm not sure if it's a 2-year commitment or
This will be a 3-year term, I believe.
3-year. Okay.
Because he's taking a vacancy. I'll have to check on that. But I would say that you move to fill the vacancy.
The vacancy up to 3 years.
Yeah, up to 3 years.
Yeah. So move to up to 3 years for Greg to be on the DRB. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
What was his career? Or is his
He's
career?
project manager for DEW. Now he works for Beta Technology. I think it's Beta Technologies, the battery plane
Oh, yeah,
folks
yeah.
over near the airport. And he, last I knew, he was working as their construction manager for them.
So he's
very,
familiar with permitting.
very, very much so. And he lives, not that it really matters, but lives just down the road here. So,
Has to be an Underhill resident, and he does live here.
although it is another Pleasant Valley Road resident, you know. So
It's all right.
I think
We're everywhere.
I think it'll be okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, ready for the question. All those in favor of appointing Greg up to a 3-year position on the DRB, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Moving right along. Okay, next is the review and approve the draft 2025 local emergency management plan, otherwise known as the LEMP.
I don't know if Maureen's familiar with this or not. I don't think we did it, but I don't know. You want to fill her in, Bob, on what it's about?
So the LEMP is kind of like a blueprint for who we're going to call in the event of, say, a natural disaster, or something along the lines where we have to act in like an emergency capacity. So there's a list of places that we would open up for emergency shelters and emergency contact names, and how many assets we have available in the event of like a natural disaster. So it's kind of an inventory of what we have. So we go through that on an annual basis. We changed our LEMP to include, now that we have emergency generators at the town garage and here at town hall, we are now able to, indicate that we have an emergency generator so that in the event of a power outage, long term or whatnot, we can start moving in that direction, is offering this maybe potentially as a shelter. Not right now because we have a little problem with our infrastructure, but we'll get there. But that's kind of like the Reader's Digest version for you.
Very good. Thank you. It seems quite thorough, which is great.
And I guess I did add all the current select board members. I guess a suggested motion would be to approve this based on contingent to any small changes that Bob and I make after we go through it. He has to sign off.
Is this last year's or this is the updated?
This is the updated.
Okay. So it does note primary local shelter generator, no. So that has
Right.
to be
So
changed.
I didn't know what
Yeah.
category to put it in.
Got it. And it lists, where was the other thing? Is Matt Champlin still fire chief?
No.
So change that.
I think I changed
That was,
didn't
I caught that too, Patty. I was wondering about that. Okay.
I thought I changed that. No.
I thought you changed.
Yeah, I have fire chief.
On
right
mine,
here.
I thought you put Todd, but we'll go through it one more time before we send it
Okay.
off to Waterbury.
So I saw that one, and then Dan Steinbauer is listed as vice chair of the select board.
I'm just a little confused unless I added the wrong thing in the packet here. So are you showing that?
Hers definitely showing that.
That's where I got it.
Oh, maybe that's a place I missed it. Hang
Okay.
on. So it's in the contact with. Yeah, I see. So
Okay.
yes, I will make a note of that.
I only saw the 3.
Yeah.
So if the board trusts that Brad and I will go through this one more time, I would move that we approve the submission of a 2025 LEMP to the state based upon the most current data that we have for the town of Underhill.
I think it's actually Dan's name needs to be changed to mine because you have my cell phone number there.
I had one other note. Oh, sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
True, I don't carry your
Under
cell
the,
phone.
on page 4, under vulnerable populations, the Y School program at Underhill Central no longer takes place. The after school program, they take a bus to, I think it's Jericho Elementary, or is it? But it's a different program now. So there's no longer an after school program at Underhill Central School.
Okay, so I'll take that off, and then Patty, I want your comments again. I got the one about Matt Champlin on page 1, and then
It's under potential EOC staff members.
and that's on page what?
I'm
And
looking
the
for
pages.
Page 3,
Is this,
section 2. It doesn't have a number.
I thought I'd numbered the pages on the bottom by hand because I have to do it in the PDF. I just did it. It was in this chart
Nope.
on
I
the
think it's
first page.
page 1 of the actual, of the hand number, your hand numbered pages. It's page 1 of the hand numbered pages.
Okay.
Looks like that. You see it? That page.
Yeah, this is the first page. So you're saying
Just replace Dan's name with mine. Has a cell phone number, right? Look for that heading. Number 2.
this one
Yeah,
here.
there you go. So it's just
Okay,
Dan-
yeah,
Dan and
yeah,
I.
gotcha. Yeah.
The rest of it's correct. That is my cell phone number, so that's, just missed the name.
Okay, this is all good. You had 3 things, Patty? You said,
There's that, the fire chief, and then the generator reference.
you're right, okay.
and you changed Joan Albertini.
I will add, we'll keep John on there because he's still current right now, and I'll add the replacement. In addition, I'll put underneath, because John's still currently superintendent.
Till the, I think the end of the month.
Okay, and then I'll just add the new person. Okay, got it. And then if, I don't know, maybe you could tell me right off the top of your head what category this NIMS form I've never quite understood, but the generator,
I'd have to look.
Okay,
I don't know.
we'll deal with it later. All right,
Well, thanks for updating that.
Mhm.
yeah, not very well, obviously, but.
Those are the only
Yeah,
things that need to be
yeah,
updated.
yeah, it's okay, yeah, it's all right.
So I don't know if we need to, you want to approve the draft or do you want to, what do you?
Prove the draft, contingent on
All right, so
Bob and I
I'll
making
make
those.
a motion that we approve the draft contingent upon some revisions made by yours truly and Brad, by the end of next week.
Second thought?
Any other questions, concerns? Ready for the question?
Mhm.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. All right,
Okay,
now we're on to my favorite topic, the fiscal year 25 third quarter financial review. Jennifer's here,
Yes,
wearing the green.
just need, Brad's gonna let me do
no,
the share
sorry, yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And I'm gonna share my screen. And Maureen, you'll let me know, when I share, you can see everything. Okay, and now I'm going to go back to my screen.
Jennifer, is that a picture of a farm field from Illinois?
It is, because I knew you were there and I wanted you to feel, like we were being inclusive.
I appreciate that. It's lovely.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. I chose to not put a lot of time into changing the images on my presentation. So these are not local images. I don't think any of them are local, but it had the spring theme and summer theme. So I chose it. So I'm kind of bummed that Shara's not here because it would be her first time of getting to kind of see some of this stuff, but regardless. So we are 3/4 of the way through the fiscal year. So we have 3 months left and we're actually about to end April. So we're actually already into that fourth quarter. So there's nothing like critical. There's no concerns. There's nothing to be alarmed about. But generally when I do these reviews, I like to talk about the percentage of the year that we're through. Anything that appears to be 25% over or under budget and $1,000. So if it's, over by 75%, but it's just a couple $100, it's not something that we're going to really focus our energy and attention on. Just as a review and for the record, at the end of every period, I send the board the budget status report. I also upload it onto our website so that residents can see it. After every AP run, once we get halfway through the year, his request, Russ gets a copy of the budget status report, and he pays very close attention to his expenses and how we're doing on every line item. Which actually has been really wonderful to work with. Russ on the financial stuff has been fantastic because he pays attention to all the financial stuff, which makes life really easier for me. So thanks, Russ. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows that the information is all there. So this information that you're seeing in your packet was been up online for 3 weeks or so. So we're 75% of the year in. So on a quarterly basis, I like to try and spend a little more time and make sure everybody knows where we're at, especially as we're getting close to the end of the year, because if there's any areas where we're getting close or there's potential issues or that pitfalls that we need to talk about, now would be the time to change course, or for the governance board that you all are to come to us, management, and say, hey, we need to look at these things. Generally we look at 75% of the budget status and we say, how are we? But there are a lot of items that are seasonal or one-time charges. And so those obviously are going to appear different. And I am always happy anytime you receive these numbers. If anyone from the board or the community wants to go over anything or ask questions, to call me or come visit me, and I am happy and excited to talk about finance stuff because I'm weird like that. So going to start with the revenue, and if you're following along with the budget status report, it would be page 2 that I just want to talk about some of the revenues, but there's not a lot to say about revenue. The town of Underhill receives almost all of our revenue from taxes. So we don't have stores, we don't have toll roads, although as one of my ideas actually is to consider toll roads, make Pleasant Valley a toll road. If you want to use our beautiful scenic roads, then you should pay a fee. Then it would.
Oh, interesting.
Then, yeah, I mean, like nowadays you can drive right through and the thing reads your thing, right? We should have that. If you want to drive on our scenic road, that costs us a lot of money to maintain. You should pay a toll.
First town in
We
the
better
state.
I don't know. I don't know that there's a statute against it, but I think it should be considered. Anyway, the only area that is abnormal for us right now that I really wanted to draw your attention to is that we actually have higher tax receivables than we usually have. But it's not because our residents aren't paying taxes. It's because there's a problem with one of our escrow companies. So you would notice that if you went online on our balance sheet, you'd see that we have tax receivables or delinquencies of like 44,000. Typically this time of year we're at about 20-something%. It's a little higher. 20,000. It's higher because of one chunk of escrow payments coming from a particular bank. It'll be resolved before the end of the year. I assure you, it's a bank glitch and not our residents' error.
And the residents don't get penalized.
The residents are getting penalized. The residents are getting penalties and they're getting interest, so they're getting delinquent tax notices. And then they pick up the phone and they call their bank and they say, hey, I have my taxes escrowed. You haven't paid it. So ultimately the banks will pay the interest, the penalties, and the taxes. So it happens on occasion and it always gets resolved. But if anyone looked at the balance sheet and they saw that, they might think, oh, wow, I thought Underhill residents pay their taxes. They do.
So where does that show up in the?
It's not on the budget status, it's on the balance sheet.
Good.
Technically it would be there under that top row of actual received property tax current, which is the very, very top line where you see 3,800,000. But you're not gonna notice because that's just a huge number.
Yes.
The only revenue that I really wanted to talk about because it comes into play on the expense line is on page 2 is the savings interest. And I just want to remind all of you that we still have this chunk of the ARPA money that's in our savings account that we're earning this interest on. So that money we have earmarked to go towards paying the additional costs for the carpet here and the painting. And we also had told the Historical Society when we had to do those trees that we would use some of this extra savings for that as well. Right now, there isn't enough in that line item to cover those two things, but I anticipate there will be once the next 3 months of interest show up in there. So this was done at the end of period 9, so we still have April, May, and June to show up in there. So that was all. Otherwise, there's no surprises on the revenue end. Moving into general fund, I like to talk about the general fund expenses and then the highway second. I put reference to the page numbers and I will upload this presentation. But just a couple of things that are worth noting. Our insurance costs continue to rise higher than we budget. And just to give you an idea, our quarterly payment to passive for general liability, and actually we're having a claim right now with the flooding that we have going on here at Town Hall. So it's good that we have good insurance, but it covers our property, our liability, all of our trucks, workers' comp, everything. Went from $12,200 to $13,900, which is a 17% increase. So I guess when I'm estimating the budget increases, I'm not quite keeping up with it because 17% is huge. Also, the cost of our trucks have gone up. The cost of repairs for trucks has gone up. So globally, so as those things happen with all the cost of insurance is going up. And with all of the, I mean, we all have homeowners insurance, so we know there's no secret that insurance costs are continuing to rise.
Does
So
the liability portion have anything to do with the fact that we're defending litigation?
no, has nothing to do with that.
Good.
No, this is just straight passive insurance. There also may be some additional, our election line might go over a little bit because are having a special election, which we didn't budget. But if
Sherry
it does,
said
it would just be a small amount.
Thought Sherry said she usually budgets one per year.
Special
Yep.
meeting, yeah. So I mean, it's close, but it's not, I don't know what all the all-in costs are gonna be, so. ARPA funds haven't been allocated, so that's another thing that you're gonna see, some areas where it looks like we're over, and I put notes in the margins that explain that it's ARPA funds that will get transferred in. That's one of the things when the auditor came and talked, and he said there's things that are different. I am not making any reserve general journal entries until I talk to the auditors, because the way that this new audit firm likes to do things is different than the old audit firm. So I'm going to be meeting with Rick before I do that. So even the things that we know that are approved that I would ordinarily just journal entry, I'm just waiting just to make sure that I do it the way he expects it. Finance is over. Salary benefits, the audit cost, we hadn't, when the budget came through, we hadn't, the RFP was out for the new auditors, but we didn't have the prices in yet, and we hadn't selected an auditor, so that's higher. We completed major renovations at Town Hall, which was budgeted, and we're gonna use that. You'll see the extra in that line item. It will come out in, from the savings line. Technical expenses may go over. We ended up getting an extra computer. This is the new finance computer. And we ended up getting, I think, was it a firewall or something else that wasn't in the original budget. So that might go over a little bit. And the schoolhouse is over as expected for those extra trees that we cut. So that's it. And none of these are big issues, but you'll see them when you go through the line. Continuing on the general fund expenses, page 11 through 15. Planning, and this is important to know because this is where we're getting close to the end of the year. So there's things that are going to come up in our general fund. And then when we get to the highway fund, where we are, in our case, they're more heading towards a surplus as opposed to a deficit. And so this is where if there are things that we need to be considering or that we'd like to consider or the board would like to consider that can be done before the end of the year, that money's in the budget. Planning and zoning, I estimate even with the additional monies that we have, Brad as the interim zoning administrator and the money that we're paying Larry Luack as our planning assistant, I estimate we'll still be under budget by 40,000 on planning and zoning. So that's headed towards a surplus in that area. We also got some money back on Green Mountain. You'll see typically the appropriations right now are all going to be at 75%. You'll notice the Green Mountain Transit isn't. What I did, because we got the money back from them because they canceled our route, we got whatever the percentage of the year that they didn't serve us back. I just entered that in so that it won't screw us up going forward. We'll be able to look at that line item and be like, okay, that's what happened that year. And there's one more appropriation payment that will be coming. So those will all go from 75% to 100 in the next couple months. Next is highway revenue. I wanted to bring this one to your attention in particular, and this is on page 15. And you don't need to look now, but you can look back if you want to. This is just a reminder that for next year, so when we're thinking about spending money, we just have to keep this in mind going forward. For the next 5 years, $100,000 that typically comes in as state aid to highways will be going directly into our reserves for 5 years. So that's $100,000 worth of highway expenses or town expenses. It doesn't really matter that we're gonna have to, that money's gonna have to come from somewhere because those expenses are there. So I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out. Also kind of a one-off, or it happens I don't remember when the last FEMA buyout was, which was Silly Hill. But what year was that? 2011? So hopefully these things don't happen often, but we did have the FEMA buyout this year. So you'll see that show up as a FEMA state revenue, and you'll also see it as an expense under FEMA. So it's important that we keep track of that for future revenue issues. And then you'll also see on page, also on the same page 15, loan proceeds. I just wanted to remind everyone, because this is something that comes up and it's going to come up potentially at the special meeting that you have next week. When we borrow money and we have a loan, the year that we get the money, it shows up as a revenue. So that's our loan proceed. We don't make our first interest and principal payment till the following fiscal year. So if we take, for example, we buy a truck and we borrow in this case was $290,000, that money shows up as revenue this year because we got our truck, but we won't have our first payments till the following year. So I just want to remind everyone of that as we're going forward. Because sometimes it kind of hits us hard. Highway expenditures. So that's starting on page 16. A couple quick things. Salaries and benefits may go over budget, but we had put in $25,000 for part-time salaries and really only used, I think, like $750 one time as a part-timer. So as you all know, it was a crazy winter. There was a lot of overtime. There was a lot of crazy snowplow removal. And the road crew did a great job, did what they had to do, and it cost the town a lot of money. But I don't know if it's going to go over or not. It's hard to know. And then contractors services. I put this one up on your screen. And the reason I did that is because you're going to see a lot of line items where we're a little bit under budget, or it might appear that we're significantly under budget. And this is my example of seasonal things. There's things that we haven't done yet because we don't do them in the winter time. And now we're going to do them now when Russ's crew has time, or when you can start hauling again in the spring. So I wanted to point out a couple of things. And also kind of, I guess I'm going to use the word a possible opportunity. So I put this down as potential opportunity. We have not spent $50,000 in contractors. Some of that, will obviously be spent, but there may be some opportunities coming up where we might be able to, you as a board might be able to say, hey, maybe if we're not going to use that, we could use it to do something else meaningful this year that we need to do. And I can give you an example of that. But obviously it's all up to the board. For example, we have this big paving job coming up on Pleasant Valley Road. So we don't have the costs yet on that, but we said it's going to be $340,000. Is it probably going to be more? I don't know. We can potentially earmark that money to be used for that. So I just want us, as we're thinking about the next few months, to be thinking about, if we have some extra money in the highway, are there projects that are coming down the pike? We're doing one section of Pleasant Valley Road. I know the guys are out doing crack sealing. Is that what it's called, what you're doing? Cold patch. Sorry, I don't know the difference. Cold patch. But are there things that are sections of the road in other sections of Pleasant Valley that aren't slated to be, or River Road, that aren't slated to be paved in the next few years, that maybe we could use that money to, repair a section next year? So I just want you to be thinking about that. If the board decides to use that, there are ways for us to potentially use that money. But that doesn't mean that all of this is available. There's still road sweeping to be done, which will be a contractor line item, out of that 50,000.
That would probably come out of miscellaneous contractors.
Okay, so that'll come out of that bottom line, the $12 line.
Which we still have a chunk of money available.
Yeah. Also they're gonna be hauling gravel and sand prior to year end, so that hauling service line, some of that will get used also. That this will also get into the materials, which is the next screen. There's also gonna be, another, let me skip to the next one. Was there something about tree and brush removal? Well, you are doing a bunch of trees too, right?
We have some more trees on the agenda
Yeah.
tonight, but.
Okay, so potentially that number also. So
Yeah.
I just didn't want everyone to be like, oh gosh, we've only used 30%. We have, all this money, but there looks like there will be some sizable excess in these lines. And then materials, similar kind of situation, just want everyone to be aware. If you look at the numbers, I mean, obviously salt, it shows at 83%. And the salt shed is completely full and ready for next winter already, which is fantastic. Typically, or at least last year, we didn't start the year with salt in the shed. So,
Yeah, we had some.
but it wasn't full.
No, it
It was totally full. So I think that's a great way to
We
start
had
the
probably
year.
3 loads to start the year with.
So now we've got it,
It's
and
full.
so there is some gravel that's still coming in, correct? And some sand still coming in prior to year end. And Russ did that purposefully because now there's some time right now, kind of the spring fill-in time, where they can do some hauling and bring in some of those extra materials. Also, and Russ will be talking to the board about this, but there's an opportunity to utilize some of that gravel line that's in the mid-50s to actually get some additional, to get some stone instead of some of that gravel. So to take some of that budget line from gravel and move it to stone.
Well, you're not moving, you're gonna show that we're under or over but the overall budget is gonna wash.
It would wash, but the stone line will go over, the gravel line would.
Right, but we're not,
We're not going over budget for materials, but there's an opportunity. Ditch stone is always needed for all the projects, for all these drainage projects, for everything that they do. So we're going to utilize some of that line to get some additional stone. There's also one more chloride delivery coming. One more?
Probably one.
Yeah, one more chloride delivery coming before year end. So that line looks under. There's some culvert purchases also, hopefully happening before year end as well. So that kind of wraps everything up. So I guess the bottom line is we're heading towards, as you can see, surplus in the general fund and a bigger surplus in the highway fund. So I think it's great, better to be in a surplus situation than a deficit situation. But I also think that this just is a reminder to all of us when we get to the budget stage that we need to really dial in on our numbers, because all this extra money that we may have made us pay, it was us paying more taxes. So the closer the budget is to actual, the more accurate the amount of money we need to get from our tax revenue. So I just wanted to
And also look
point that
at
out.
fiscal year 26 was inflated because we had reserve to use.
Yeah.
So thinking about fiscal year 27, you
Yeah.
need to be really mindful that that budget was inflated because we had reserve to use.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to dial it back to more of this budget, be looking at this type of budget for fiscal year 27.
Agree, good point.
So
And that's wrap.
Do good.
Thank
So
you.
I
That's
think,
awesome.
I think we're doing great, and I, again, welcome anyone to ask questions, come to me. If there's something on there that you don't understand, I can
Can
explain
you
it.
stop sharing so I can just get the screen back if you don't mind?
Thank you, Jen, for all your
Yep.
work on this.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very much.
And I will put this up online as well. Hold on,
Very
Brad.
informative.
Yes.
Unshare. Not
She
sure.
talks fast
There were
too.
wonderful pictures, Jennifer, as well as the whole report. So thank you.
Okay. Okay, there you go.
Patty did say that she'd like to see some more Pleasant Valley next time.
Yeah, of course. No, next time I'm gonna get pictures of her animals and.
You have Easy Pass on there.
That's right. Jennifer's Full Road,
I think it's worth considering.
the J Road.
The other statute.
I'm
What's that?
open to all ideas.
Gotta think out of the box.
Maybe we just do that on Mountain Road.
I very much agree.
Oh,
Past,
past Maple Leaf Farm.
that's right.
Yeah, past the residences. Anyone who's going
Pay
up to
for
the
that,
state park.
pay for that bridge.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
Anybody from the state, we're just joking.
yes.
They yank all our funds.
Sarcasm.
All right, so we are a little ahead of schedule. The next item on the agenda is to review and approve the All Traffic Solutions Traffic Cloud subscription. Brad, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so this is just the annual subscription. It's in the budget for the portable unit. And I would recommend that we just approve that. I'm gonna get that out. I don't like to put that portable unit out in the winter because it's kind of hard on it, but I'm gonna take that. I keep saying I'm gonna do it every day, but I haven't, is take the portable unit and put it in replace of where the other one was on Pleasant Valley by the school. I sent the other unit back in, so we'll get an estimate of the repair for that and see where that's at.
That's the one that was damaged over in UVM or Champlain or wherever. The
yeah.
college kid had it.
Right, or we're assuming somebody had it. So yeah, this is just the standard,
So if it's a budgeted item, why would we have to approve it?
because it's expenditure of more than $1,000.
Gotcha. So
So,
I'm gonna move that we approve the All Traffic Solutions Traffic Cloud subscription. Is there a second?
Second.
And
Just-
the dollar amount, Brad, is
$1,500, and you're gonna authorize me to sign it. That'd be great.
authorize Brad to sign the $1,500 cloud expenditure for the All Traffic Solutions. Any other discussion on that? Ready for the question? The question is to approve Brad to sign for $1,500 for cloud storage for the All Traffic Solutions traffic stuff.
Second that.
Yeah, and we're still ready to go. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Have at it, Brad.
All right.
Slow me down, I come down the hill.
Hopefully.
Give me both.
Okay, next, we are going to talk with Russ about a few items. First thing is the review and approve the fiscal year 26 sand hauling.
Okay, just before I get into that, I just want a couple things. Dwayne is on vacation, started today. He'll be back next Wednesday. So if you don't see the excavator moving around, that's why. So,
It's good that he goes on vacation.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's down in sunny Florida. Another quick thing is I sent the select board an email this afternoon that I'd like you just to review. If you haven't seen it yet, just take some time, review it, and then next meeting, I'll have more of a, to get it on the agenda to discuss further. But I wanted to at least plant a seed with you, 5 to see what I'm proposing, so you can have a better understanding when it comes time to sit down and have a ethical conversation. Just kind of a pre-thing. So the sand hauling last year worked out very well. So it's back in the budget to do again this year. So I don't have a copy with me, but it's in your packet too. It's basically the same RFP we sent out last year, just with some dates changed. Didn't change anything else but dates.
Mhm.
I just want to get the approval to be able to send that out and hopefully get it on that bid registry. Brad would be good.
Yeah, we could stick it on there.
Just need approval to do that.
So motion to approve the RFP for fiscal year 26 sand hauling would be appropriate. I'll move that.
I'll second that.
And is seconded. Any discussion on the RFP?
I just had one question. In terms of the approved route excludes the stretch of Pleasant Valley where Dean Road is. Was there any issues with them in this past year not sticking to that route, or was that kind of followed pretty well?
As far as I know, it was followed fine. Didn't have any issue.
Good. Okay. Yeah, as
Very
we're
well.
thinking about getting closer to that bridge, it's good to make sure that the sand hauling is not going that way. So thank you.
Patty was out seen holding a sign several times warning them, so.
Too
Turn
big,
around.
won't fit,
That's right.
large volume.
You will get stuck.
Exactly, you will be towed.
She's been in communication with the state, so people can go up through the notch, so hopefully that works out for you.
I'm sending them all up Dean Road.
Did you send the Word document on that, or is it just a PDF you said? You just put an E on Dean Road, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay.
Any other question about the RFP? If not, you ready for the question? All those in favor of approving the fiscal year 26 sand hauling as presented, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. That's that. Next one is to review, approve the culvert purchase.
So I've gotten quotes to purchase culverts that we need to use this summer. And I got 3 quotes, which are all included in your packet. They even have a recommended motion that has been following direction.
Yeah.
Do you see it? Kelsey?
It's perfect. Excuse me.
So my recommendation is to purchase from the Farmyard store in Derby. That's the company we started purchasing from last year. Got the best numbers and they gave us great service.
So authorize Russ to purchase culverts from the Farm Yard Store in Derby, Vermont in the amount of $20,820.60, utilizing funds from the Bridges and Culverts and Guardrail line on the current budget, which currently has a remainder of $21,890. So I'm going to move that we authorize Russ to spend that going through Farm Yard Store in Derby.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Should we do up to 21,000, just in case there's,
Just to keep you happy, yes.
just in case that we don't get held up for a penny or something?
That is a great idea.
Use
So we're just
something-
gonna amend it up to 21,000 just in case. Any other discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next is the River Road tree removal update.
Okay, so back, let's see, when did we do this? A couple months ago or so, I brought to your attention a couple trees on the river bank down here by Cedric Store. 2 big trees that are ready to come into the river, which I got the 3 quotes, and it was decided that we need to get Chris Brunel's approval and from the state and the homeowner's approval, which I did get the homeowner's approval. I have that in email form, as well as talked to Chris Brunel from the state, and he said we do not need his permission to take those trees down. So I would like to move forward with authorizing DJ's Tree Service, who had the lowest quote, to remove those trees.
To move that we authorize DJ's Tree Service the amount of $2,400 to remove, the trees on the riverbank at 267 River Road. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I just have one quick thing. I wonder if we should have like a hold harmless or something sign I'm just trying to think, because we're actually entering private property to remove the trees. I don't know, maybe Jennifer could weigh in on, say something,
Yeah, I think
something
It
happened.
can't hurt.
I mean,
that'd be on the contractor, not on us.
yeah, I guess you're right.
So equipment wise would stay on River Road.
Right.
Any like foot traffic would go down to the trees. But as far as any equipment, because we're not pulling the stumps, we're
Right.
leaving stumps
Yeah.
there. Just, they're gonna use a crane, they're gonna cut, lift the tree. And
So you guys can explore that, but it would be my understanding that if we're hiring
Yeah,
that out
it's
to
the
be
contractor.
done,
Yeah.
that the contractor would be responsible for any liability if
So
they did anything wild and crazy.
perhaps, in addition to naming us as an insured, they could name the homeowner as a insured as
Additional
well,
insured.
additional insured.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, just in case it gives them a little.
Are the trees near any houses? Is there a risk of a,
I don't think that there's any risk of hitting the home. I think it would be more damage to their lawn, or because it's lawn, their lawn goes all the way to the river. And they have like
Okay.
a little seating area or something
Okay.
down there, but
We don't know where the leach field and septic system and all that kind of stuff is, so.
they won't have to go down there with any kind of machine.
They're great.
Right there by the bridge.
in
Probably
all,
off the bridge, probably 30 feet. or something.
Yeah.
I have faith and trust that you will protect the town's interest in getting that squared away before that project gets started.
in all the brush and tree remains will be removed?
Yes.
Or is anything staying?
Just the stumps.
Got it. And the homeowner's authorization is in writing?
In writing. for your
Excellent,
email form.
excellent.
Yep.
The DJ's Tree Service, I'm gonna give them another shout out. They removed the 9 trees out of our, back of our yard after the jam. They were top notch, just amazing.
And they were the low bidder, right?
Yep.
So,
Mhm.
All right, very good. Any other discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor of approving DJs to remove the trees as discussed on River Road, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Almost done. Fuller Road culvert failure.
Okay, I got a call from, I can't think of her first name.
Jessica?
Jessica Butler on Fuller Road. She's called a couple times in the last couple of years about a culvert issue on Fuller Road. Last year, I just took a little gravel over and filled in the holes and made it good. This year it happened again, so we went over and looked at it, and it's a 4-foot culvert. It's 20 feet long. At the bottom is all rotted and gone, which is why you're getting sinkholes on top of the culvert
Mhm.
from the flow of water pulling gravel down. So the only real way to fixing that is going to be to replace the culvert. But this is a class 4 road. So I have a recommendation if you'd like to move forward with us doing it. We do have a good used culvert, 4 foot by 20 feet that we took off lowering the settlement road when we replaced that big culvert last spring that we have available. So there would be no cost for a culvert. The only cost would be about $580 worth of gravel that we would utilize to reinstall the new culvert, and probably half a day or so with excavator and dump truck and 3 people to replace it. So I didn't come up with a motion, being a class 4 road and having.
it is it, I think it's in an MRGP segment as well as at the beginning of,
It's at the
Fuller.
beginning.
yeah, so that's all,
Well, I say the beginning. It's not right at Irish. It's
yeah.
It's up the road probably 300 feet,
where that one driveway is.
just prior to the first Jessica
First
Butler's
driveway.
driveway.
Okay.
So I
Just
can,
prior to
I can
Yeah.
confirm that those are MRGP segments that we're responsible for,
Remind
even
us what
on
MRGP stands for.
municipal road general permit. So it's direct discharge into the settlement brook.
Okay.
So we're obligated to ensure that segments are up to standard And if culverts fail, that's not up to standard. So especially if gravel's undermined and going into the stream. So I'm almost positive those, at least up to that driveway and probably past it, are MRGP segments.
And so then that eliminates the restriction from the town maintaining a class 4 road when it's within that specific category that it's preventing.
Well, so I took the section out, and I apologize, Maureen, because I didn't realize, I forgot that you weren't going to be here, but I photographed or photocopied the section class 4 road, and it is your discretion. It is your discretion to work on it. I'll just remind you that, there was a substantial amount of money spent on Dean Road by a subcontractor for $4,500. Well, Dean Road's a recreational used road, so is Fuller. It's, the other end of it's the Cranbrook Trail. It's used by many residents, including, several residents and business.
And just a clarification, it's not a restriction that we can't maintain class 4 roads.
No, not at all.
It's just
Your discretion.
a discretion that we don't have to.
So for the sake of argument, or moving this along, I'm going to move that we approve the expenditure to utilize the used culvert that we have in inventory and go with the recommendation that came from Russ of utilizing a few $100s worth of gravel and authorize up to a half to a full day of labor to, install and to put in the necessary gravel that would be needed to make that passable. Is there a second?
Second. Thank you.
Any discussion?
I want to emphasize that we're doing this for the reasons of protecting the waterway so that we're not polluting the waterway with sediment and silt. And it has recreational use, and that's the rationale for doing this.
I think that's right.
I just had a quick question. Was the old culvert, what was it, metal or?
Yeah.
Oh, it was, okay. I know some of them are plastic as you go down farther, right?
Yeah.
Because they're kind of, yeah.
Yeah, this is metal and a big one, so it's,
Is the replacement that you have plastic?
no, it's metal.
No.
Any other discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor of replacing the Fuller Road failed culvert, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Last is to schedule or attempt to schedule a site visit with the
Sandra Costas.
Costas, I'm
She's,
sorry. Irish settlement.
Yeah, if you remember, we had some discussion when we had the meeting at the town garage.
Yes.
Sandra Costas came,
All right,
and then we were gonna schedule a site visit, but then winter kind of moved in on us.
No, we
and-
never did do that, did we?
Yeah, she asked, she goes, we can put it off till the spring, she suggested. So here it is spring, she reached out. So I was thinking if you wanted to, we could at 6 o'clock, we could either open the meeting or we could meet up there at 5:30. Just trying to figure out a site visit time.
Well, why don't we send out, we can figure that out offline. I'd like to try to get this, hammered out before, our next meeting, whether we do it before or after, but we're not all here. So I'd like to try to have it so that, we are all there.
Sure, I'd just like to get the consensus of the 4 people that are here. Would that work? And then I can,
I think the consensus, if I'm reading the room, is it will work. It's just a matter of date and time of when that's going to be.
okay, so could you tell me now if you'd be available at 5:30? Could I propose that?
Which
or-
5:30 what day?
On the select board meeting day,
On
which
May
is
8th?
May 8th.
I think that should work for me. Jonah's going to be out of town, so I just have to make sure I have childcare coverage, but I think that should work.
That's the date of the CCRPC zoning administrator interviews.
Yes,
Are you gonna be available?
I'll be online doing the interviews online.
Maureen, I'm always happy to,
Okay.
play with the kids.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, anyway, I just get the general consensus. I could also, I'll do it online, but I'm just trying to get a feel for.
I could do 6 o'clock on the,
Okay.
Well, that's when we normally meet.
you wanna do it earlier than that, 5:30? I can do 5:30.
I can do 5:30.
Okay, we'll figure it out. So I just getting a feel.
I think the feeling or consensus is that we're gonna try to shoot for 5:30. If not, then I'm gonna say, let's do it at 6, but then we're gonna have a light agenda for that select board meeting, because we're gonna be on the go.
Mhm.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay.
Wow, that was real difficult.
I'll check with Maureen first, and then I'll propose something.
Okay.
Chara, sorry. You're Maureen, you're here.
There's no one here, as far as, the public is concerned. And I don't see anyone on the virtual world, but it is that time where we would entertain closing public comment.
Bye, Jen.
So I guess we are moving on to review and approve the warrants and minutes for the April 10th meeting. So here we go. I'm gonna move that we approve the payroll warrant dated April 21st, 2025. Is there a second?
Second thought?
Any discussion? Hearing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of approving the payroll warrant dated 4/21/2025, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. The next item is the warrants dated 4/21/2025. I move that we accept those. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second thought.
Seconded by Maureen. So, any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor of approving the warrants dated 4/21/2025, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Last item is the minutes for the April 10th meeting. I move that we accept the meeting minutes as presented. Is there a second?
Second?
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of the minutes for the 10th of April 2025, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Please give that to Brad. All right.
Brad, I'll come by Monday to sign those.
Sounds good.
All right. The next item on the agenda is member items, correspondence, announcements, schedule, special town meeting, informational meeting for May 1st at 7 o'clock. The next regular scheduled meeting is scheduled for the 8th of May at 6 p.m. Anybody have anything?
I just wanted to, oh,
Do you have the AP or did you hand it? Oh, there it is right there. The
Right
the
here.
warrant.
I just wanted to ask about, Sherry had sent an email of some members of the public who are looking for more information about the upcoming votes, and just wanting to make sure that we are, maybe if it's sharing some more information on Front Porch Forum, or just making sure that there's more public education and information about what is going to be voted on and why those votes are happening. I think that was a great point of Sherry to bring that up.
There was an email that was sent, I assume it went to everyone, maybe just to me, that you had created.
I want you to look at it first. See.
There is something in the works to present, and I'm still working on a PowerPoint presentation for the informational meeting, and we potentially could get that out there as well, so people could see that. It's just catching me a little bit off by realizing that people have the ability to, absentee ballot and vote, on this stuff. So I'm working on it, and Russ has created something. I just need to give it a little bit more attention, and then we can start to put that out there. We just have to be, I think, cautious as far as we have to try to stay neutral and stick to the facts.
Yep.
Correct.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you.
today is the 1 week before the informational meeting, and I was going to post something on Front Porch Forum again. I've alluded to Sherry, when I was sick, Sherry had to do a post for the absentee ballots. She has to do that by law. So she did that and basically so if you go on the website, you'll see what I put up. So I put up the same things that I did for I did a little explanation. If you wanted to go on the website right now, you could just see if you clicked on, and perhaps you could read it. Patty, for the record, but I'm planning on tomorrow on doing the same thing. So I point people to that section on the website.
Where would I go?
Just right up on the top. See where it says special town meeting? Top of the homepage. Should be in red.
Nope. No.
So there's a little explanation there.
Starts with on Tuesday, May 6th.
Yeah. Is there an explanation there, correct? Right there.
So you want me to read this?
Well, that's what I've written so far, and what I've uploaded is the same information we had for the bridge, and then I put the spec sheet for the truck that Russ had provided. But I think what Sherry was alluding to is just.
We can work on that.
Okay, sounds good. And I'm gonna do that, and so when I get that document, I'll upload it so it'll all get pointed to the right place.
So I have two things. One thing is, days all kind of go together. I think it was Tuesday. I had to run to Milton. And on the way back, I drove on Allen Irish Road, and I met the town of Westford's grader. And I thought that was great that they were grading that road, and I decided I was going to cross Route 15 and go on to, the third entrance to Poker Hill and take Poker Hill all the way down into the village. And as I'm driving, I'm like, wouldn't it be great if the town of Underhill coordinated with them so that these roads would all be graded at the same time? And I no longer thought that. And there's Scott and our grader on, Poker Hill Road, grading the northern end of Poker Hill. So I was very pleased to see. And then as I got farther down, I saw Dwayne, doing his work, with the brush removal and stuff like that over near the Poker Hill School. So I was very pleased with all the progress on Poker Hill Road. I know in some years it's been kind of a challenge. It looks really good, and I appreciate the work that you guys are doing over there. I mean, today saw that the coal patch was being applied on the road, and that's always, nice to see that, trying to keep the roads is the best we can before they completely, get annihilated.
Russ, is the weather allowing for grading to be done earlier than normal, or is this pretty much on schedule?
It's been pretty on schedule for the last couple of years, at least, since I've been there. We've had some good days, and we've had some days that, not so good. So we kind of held off, but mud season kind of took us for a little loop on a few roads this year. Took a little extra challenge to get them taken care of. But they're all coming together really nice and drying out good. So I did lift the posted signs yesterday. So they're
good.
Everything's good.
Pre-chain mud season, really, all in all, compared to some
like I
of
said,
those.
a couple roads, Repa and Silly Hill, a few spots on Irish, but other than that, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other thing I'd like to talk about or bring to the board's attention and would hope that you would have an opportunity to take a look. You guys that are here tonight, I can show you what I'm talking about to talk about. Maureen, I'd be happy, or Brad can show you when you have an opportunity to come in. But due to this water loss that we had with the bathroom upstairs and coming down into the Amanda's office or the Lister's area, has given us an opportunity to open up the walls and ceiling to dry it out, obviously. In that, noticing that there is rot that is taking place on the sheathing near the windows in that office. It is of my opinion, and I'm hoping that you will all have an opportunity to take a look. While rot would not be something that would be typically covered under any insurance policy, and certainly isn't related to this water loss event, it may be in the town's best interest that now that we have discovered this, that we address the rot in the sheathing, meaning that we might have to take the clapboards off, cut out the rot, maybe seal the, take the window out, flash it properly, put the window back in with new plywood, and then put the clapboards or re-clapboard over in that area now that we've discovered it. I don't think it would be in the town's best interest to just, put the insulation back in, pretend that we didn't see the rot, and, wait, cross your fingers and hope that, it will stop rotting and everything like that. So I'm just bringing it to your attention. I'll show you what I'm talking about, the folks that are here, and Maureen would be happy to show you sometime, or, Brad, I'm sure can as well, when you have a minute and can stop by. We can certainly could talk about it. And if we are going to have a surplus, this might be.
Well, can I just add something? So we have in the, before we do the painting on the town hall, we did add in some clapboard repair and some various repair. So that could easily be added on to that, and work within that.
But it certainly makes sense while we have a wall open to do any sort of repair work for any sort of rotting board. That totally makes sense to do.
So anyway, it wasn't an agenda item, so just wanted to bring it to your attention, and then we can certainly add it to a future one, and kind of go from there. That's all I have. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention for Green Up Day, I'm not able to attend on Saturday. We have a dog show event in New Hampshire, so I will not be in attendance, sadly.
We'll have a remote session that you can, chime in on if you want.
Sarah.
Let's go. At least
Save me the
a couple.
veggie burger.
We got veggie hot dogs.
I'm told not to make it.
That's right. I did usually have a few with veggie burgers just for the heck of it too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Patty's not gonna be there, so
I know.
we'll figure something out. Anything else? Well, Dan, it's your favorite time of the meeting where you get to say it's time to adjourn. So here we are.
It is time to adjourn. I move that.
You're gonna move that.
I'll
Is there a
second
second? And you're gonna second it, so
Second.
it's not debatable. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. It is 7:24. We are adjourned.
Thanks, Maureen. Thanks, Donna.
Thanks, Maureen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.